first, what's facing technology companies, it's pushback.
Change management has always been a very tough task for everyone.
It's like a behavioral thing because people don't want to start doing something new.
In many times, the best technology is not always the one with most features. It does not feel like extra work. Captain Gandhi, you have made my life so easy. That is when you can say that there has been a good adoption of the solution.
If they have ECDIS, I'm happy to go. But if it's paper chart, no. You don't trust 100% for technologies.
The AI can do certain things which are much better than a human can. At a well-trained procedure, it gives the foundation. So you cannot do everything just by instinct.
Good morning, everyone. Today we again with the podcast Action Matters. And today we have a beautiful person. It's Bhupesh. It's Maritime leader and also my friend. We know already each other for a while. Welcome to the podcast. Today, a global maritime and technology executive with nearly 3 decades of leadership experience across the world. Bhupesh actually held senior roles at companies like Wärtsilä, Transas, Navica, and several fast-growing technology businesses, leading strategy, commercial growth, and digital transformation across these industries and the regions. And recently, Bhupesh also became an author, sharing lessons from years of leadership, innovation, and navigating change in today's fast evolving world through his new book. Bhupesh, great to have you with us today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Vlad. Always pleasure to talk to you.
So, if you can just say a couple of words about yourself, our subscriber is going to know you, but I'm sure that a lot of people actually already know you around the world.
Well, it's not like it's just that I have been around for a few years, and my roles have been global, and I have been traveling to different regions in the world. So that's why um, I may know some people.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we will have today a couple of questions. We will see how it goes. Upesh, you have worked across different regions and organization in the maritime industry. From your experience, what are the key factors that determine whether a solution is actually adapted and used in day-to-day operations?
So uh, you know, uh, of course, there is a always when you write some solution, you also write some measurement of what you did, how is it working or not. But if you ask in reality for a new technology or something implemented recently in the industry, like I have been witnessing this from a very very early stage when ECDIS came. ECDIS was like one of the first challenge for the industry when they wanted people to move from paper chart to ECDIS. I was one of the first guys in that at that time, trying to convince the ships, the large ship owner like Mediterranean Shipping Company and BW and all these guys. I was like a evangelist going on the ships, trying to convince captains to have a trust on the electronic charts. So the thing which I think matter most is, first of all, the user, whosoever it is, if it shipboard people or wherever, they must see a personal value. So until and unless they see a personal value, they will not like to go work with the solution. Number two, management must show commitment. It's not just that they approve and we do that. Like, okay, we are installed like this and you use it. They must show commitment, for example, arranging for the electronic charts, arranging for some adequate training, and giving them some support when they are in a bit of unsure situation. Now, it may not uh, appear such a big problem, but trust me, it was a huge problem. I remember one ship of V ships when it was delivered from the yard in Japan, and they installed a paperless solution with dual exits of Maris. And the master, soon upon who took over the ship, delivery of the ship, refused to sail the ship. He said, I cannot sail the ship without paper chart. So they called me and they said, "What do we do?" I said, "Okay, you give him the chart because the ship was coming from there direct to Singapore for bunkers." So we agreed to provide them paper charts from there to Singapore on our cost because they always they have to control costs and they cannot justify spending any amount of money because people who are taking the decisions sometimes even if a senior guy like a fleet director, but he has to justify any additional expense. So we managed to get it here, and then I went on board myself, and I had a 1 hour session with the master myself and navigating officers. And this was all management commitment. They arranged everything, and then he was absolutely happy. Not only happy, you will not believe he came back. The ship came back after next voyage, and that guy he said, "My life has become so easy with this new my passage planning, my so everything must have people have to see personal value. The management has to show commitment to with the solution, and the solution must also be simple enough to use under real operating pressure. We can say something very complex and this, but if the ship is passing through a traffic separation zone or going to pick up a pilot and he cannot use an ECDIS at that time or he doesn't have a trust, the whole solution has no meaning. So the whatever solution we give for anything for that matter must have real simplicity for the user to use. When we have all this, I think then it fits into their daily workflow and it does not feel like extra work. That is when you can say that there has been a good adoption of the solution. So
Yeah.
in maritime, the best technology is not always the one with most features. It is the one that quietly becomes part of the routine. When people start to use it as a routine, that is where it becomes a real success.
But still, you see, like whenever something new it's appearing on the market, if something appearing, for example, in maritime industry, in most of the cases, first what's facing technology companies, it's pushback because people don't want to start doing something new. It's I don't know. It's like a behavioral thing, because I also observing similar thing from my parents. If I suggest some technologies, what's going to simplify their life, first answer I'm receiving, no, 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 it's not for me. But whenever they get used, they're really happy because technology is making life easy. I would say, as per my opinion, in most of the cases. Sometimes, of course, not. It's just overloading you with something else. And nowadays, with a lot of features, technologies around, it's going to be a war for screen time because it's as much technologies you have, as more screens you're going to have, for example, on a bridge. But this is also like a huge interaction for a bridge officer. And actually, I was at this time second mate when electronic charts appearing in maritime market. And for me, it simplify life a lot because before I spent hours for the paper charts, but with the ECDIS, it just become no like you can do the passage plan with a couple of hours, automatic check if any dangers across your route. Of course, as we are humans, we're doing double check. We don't trust 100% for technologies, and then you're good to go. Yeah. And I also meet a lot of masters around who was against. Even it was like 10 years ago. Like no, we should trust to paper charts, and it's we always did it before, and it was interesting time. Yeah. And whenever I wanted to join a vessel, the first question I ask in my crewing, like, do they have a ECDIS on board? If they have ECDIS, I'm happy to go. But if it's paper chart, no.
So what you were saying, Vlad, about that, I remember a similar incident when I was in Transas, and that was when ECDIS was really, really n- very new in the market and it was very expensive. And I remember I sold an ECDIS to one ship, MSC America, for 65,000 US dollars, which was a huge amount. and with charts. And the fleet manager, he said, I have given this thing to you, but I had to exhaust a lot of budget, and I'm not sure. I'm not even sure people will use it. So I went on the ship first time, and the captain and the second mate were not very happy. They said another new machine to and equipment to use. We need to learn. We have no time. As it is, we are busy. I spent some time with them, and I kept in touch with them. I said, "You any problem, any issue, reach out to me anytime on phone, on email." They came here in about I think one voyage. They were on a fixed run to go to I think liner run. So they went to 3 or 4 ports, and I think 2 or 3 weeks later, the ship was back in Singapore. And I just went on the ship just to say hello to the captain. And he said, he hugged me almost. He said, Captain Gandhi, you have made my life so easy. I have so much extra time now. I used to take hours to do my route check, this planning, that planning, chart correction. I have so much time now. All this is a thing of past because we had given them all the charts and correction. Now, I next time when the fleet manager called me and he said, you have created a big problem for me. He said that master came back and I was sending him on another ship. He said, if the ship doesn't have ECDIS, I don't want to go. So this is how the adoption that you were talking about, and people
Yeah.
start to see a personal value that happens. You are saying ECDIS. I'm talking about sextant. When my times, Vlad, when the satellite navigator came, the sextant was so much trusted equipment. And I remember when we checked the position, the we had one senior captain. He will ask. I was second mate that time. He asked me to take sextant sites to confirm whether satellite navigator position is okay or not. And if there was a discrepancy, he will trust sextant position over a satellite navigator position. And we were a bit, thinking how is it that possible? But years later, of course, that looks like a funny thing. But there was so much trust in the old technology that they were not willing to move. So that happens. But change management has always been a very tough task for everyone, not only in our industry, but our industry is little more very much oriented with people having trust in the way they do things. So to move them to a new platform or new technology is of course challenge. But like I said, those three things, that personal value, the management commitment, and this thing, they have to come in place. If all those three elements become real easy to use thing, become our daily routine, that's when the thing will start to move.
Yeah. For myself, I actually pick up very interesting thought from you. You said example about the captain who is refused to go on another vessel if they don't have electronic charts. And I think it's very good market positioning for any new technologies across the maritime industry. Try to think first about of end users who can really push to have your product on the vessels. Because if the management, because it's always difficult to convince the management, yeah, because management have a budget, have a plans, have a routine, and etc. And always a lot of things happening. Sometimes it's
Hmm.
bad things, and you have to put all of your power there and to solve some problems. But
Hmm.
if you engaged with your end users, who is really going to use your technologies on a daily basis, they can be very good promoters for your technology company within their company. Yeah. All right. You are currently working with ESG compliance and also digital infrastructure. Can the systems truly ensure the right behavior, or does it ultimately always come down to people?
Well, systems, they do have a value to some extent, because there are certain things that systems can do. Uh, they can, uh, they can do pattern recognition. They can do some analysis. They can check a few parameters around something happening. and give a good decision making kind of pointers. But ultimately, it's the people have to be addressed with the like I said, the the behavior is where the whole focus goes in the end. So you can find, take any example that why a person I remember that one case, like you say, that a check-in mate during his watch he will go back in the chat room to do some corrections, whatever publications and all, and for certain time he will not be having a full lookout. If he But now if you just think that you want to expect him to behave like the way you want him to be all the 4 hours, just looking out and looking at then certain tasks that he has been assigned will not be possible, or he has to spend extra time. So we have to look every situation holistically and find the right way to balance the solution. If we just focus on, I want a certain outcome, and I don't have any concern for the person who has to perform the task, that solution is most likely to fail because he will find some other way to dodge. So if the person adapts or he dodges the system, is depend on how do you devise the solution. If you devise the solution with full regard to everything and also in discussion with the user, then there is a very high likelihood of the solution being successful and working well. But if we just put a system in place, like now, you're getting so many AI based systems, and we just think that it will solve all the problem, or it doesn't, like you remember, we talked about certain cases where they say the usage of a mobile phone on the wheelhouse or during certain operations. Now people don't like it, but we cannot condemn that people are, why they're doing it, because this is common everywhere. In every situation, you go to any place in other than maritime, also people are used to having, it's become kind of a culture that people want to be looking at certain information all the time. So we need to find a way to address that problem, not just implement, looking at the just thing and implement one hammer and say do it like this, not like this. I think that won't work.
Yeah, with mobile phone, it's a good example because nowadays people cannot concentrate long time on one task, and you want to switch from one task to another, and it's a good example. If you are watching our podcast, I just addressing to our subscribers, and you also using your mobile phone always, just whenever you feel that I already long time concentrating on one task, just leave us comments, and we will see how many people actually experience the same problem. Because in my case, it's happening quite often. Yeah. When you concentrate on something, you just drop this task, open your phone, checking WhatsApp. But why I'm checking WhatsApp, nobody call me. But it's interesting. Yeah. Let's move to interesting one, to interesting questions about of your experience and about of your book, because you become an author. You are not anymore a maritime professional. You are author of the book. And in your book, Tiger in the Lion City, you explore the balance between instinct and structure. How does this tension show up in the maritime industry, especially in real operations?
Mm, Well, it's very, very relevant to maritime, honestly speaking, Vlad, because when we talk about a line, and it was some concept a few last year during COVID. I was just exploring certain behavioral pattern among different kind of people or ethnicities, how they react to the situation. And that's how this whole idea of kind of lion and tiger came in my mind, and I started putting a story around it. But main thing is that, in maritime, for example, the lion represents structure. So lion always they move in a herd and they follow a certain structure, regulations, procedures, checklists, compliance, hierarchy. These are all the characteristics representing lion. And when you say tiger, and it is instinct driven. So tiger is, you know, when it they say leap of the tiger, they say. So, it has to have a very accurate judgment of the distance when it leaps from one rock to another. I think no other beast can do as good as a tiger. Or experience, courage, ability to act when the situation does not fit the manual. It's that is how the tiger normally reacts. So this is how I try to, the contrast I brought out in writing this story. But in maritime also, I think we see this very often. We see lions, which are we love lions because they are the ones who are following the regulation, procedures, checklist, compliance. But we see also a few tigers who are always coming with a lot of experience, and they have the courage of conviction, and they can act in a situation which is requires a certain action which is not written or specified anywhere. So I think we see both these characters very much in our maritime industry. So, if you are too much of a lion, it can become a passive situation. You will not do anything if it's not written, or which is happening now. A lot people are complaining. There are more of lions today than tigers because they just say any situation they will ask office that please let me advise me what to do. But sometimes they need tigers when a situation is abnormal or out of this thing. They require some decision making. They need to take a decision.
Yeah, understand. It's really interesting about the lion and tigers. In your view, is a strong maritime leader more of a tiger, like instinct driven, or a lion, like a system driven? And when does the difference matter most?
Well, it's a tough question, but if you ask me, the right answer will be it has to be both. So you have to be, no, I can't specify how much percentage, but I would say in my mind, it should be 70% lion, 30% tiger. So, you need a lion to build a system, to build discipline, to have consistency and bring a trust to the whole system. You need a lion approach. But sometimes in 30% of the time, as I would say 30-70 or even 80-20 to some extent.
Okay.
So when you have a crisis, you have a situation, then your tiger must come out and you must take a decision which a leader has to take. So I think
Yeah.
it's not the it's even in my book in the end last chapter, if you will read sometime, you will see write there that the tiger is lionized. It doesn't mean that he changed this thing, but he has realized the value of being driven by uh, the lion values or the procedures. So when you see the value in both, that is where the best leaders emerge, and you will see in your career also there are these people who are really leaders are who do both, who can do. So now that percentage of this thing can vary. I mean, like I said, it could be 70-30, it could be 80-20, depending on where you are and what type of situation. But I think it has to be a good mix.
Yeah, I think the tiger have to have a really good friendship with the lion, because if your tiger cannot pick up the lion system-driven tasks, then it's going to be disaster. Then you don't know how to react in a emergency
Yeah.
situation. Yeah,
Yeah, and like I said, maritime is full of unforeseen situations. I mean, you have been perhaps through that, and in my life as a seafarer, I have seen so many situations where it was You have no procedure, no. You have to take a decision. You cannot. And now it's easy to pick up a phone and call, but we have also seen time through our time when you don't want to call somebody when it's a night hour somewhere, and so you need to take a decision. You take a decision. And so in maritime there are several. You go through so many situations where a good decision making is required, and it it's best based on the systems which are specified or which are written for you. But at times you need to use your discretion by based on your experience or on your judgment of the situation.
Yeah. If we take a real scenario, for example, a critical moment on a bridge, what makes the difference more often? A well trained procedure or a person ability to go beyond it?
So I think, like I said earlier, Vlad, a well-trained procedure, it gives the foundation. So you cannot do everything just by instinct. So you have to have, in a critical moment as well, uh, a well-trained procedure has to be the foundation. So you have certain, layout of the what is to be done. Then procedures prepare the mind, but judgment is when you have to apply them. So I mean, I tell you a very simple case. Like you say, we one time we were in this passing the Pacific Ocean, and we heard a SUA, SUVA, SUA in I think is in somewhere in the South Pacific. They were broadcasting a SOS from a ship, a yacht, actually, American yacht. And, you know, um, uh, you have to now, if you look at the procedure, if any call you receive as a this thing, mariner, you have to respond to this. But it was twilight hour, almost getting dark, and weather was not so nice. It was a good, I mean, moderate to rough sea, and the chances are. So now we have to take a decision, and now this no procedure or nobody who, because you are the man on the spot, so you have to make a decision, and that is where. But still, you have to find some well trained procedure. So we followed. I responded. I accepted. I went to rescue this person, but we followed all the procedures which are. The foundation of how do you do such a rescue. So we, from our training, from our learning, from procedures, we rigged the nets on the ship side. We did all the things that are required. So that made the whole operation successful. So it's both. It's the procedure, and it's also sometimes taking a decision to you know uh, take the call to do what is required to be done.
So your tiger have to have an instinct to follow the procedure.
Yes, you are right. You are right. That's what I
So-
meant. Tiger is lionized when tiger with instinct, but he must follow certain procedures
yeah,
because otherwise it will become too brash an action. Sometimes it can create a very critical situation if you don't do that.
yeah, I agree. It's now going on very interesting time, the era of AI.
Hmm.
You can hear AI from everywhere. Everyone talking about AI. If the person even don't know what doesn't mean, but everyone talking about AI. With the rise of AI and digital system nowadays, where do you think the line should be drawn between what system should handle and what must remain a human decision?
So this is very interesting point, Vlad, and it has been discussed everywhere. And we recently, as I think I'm developing something ESG platform also where it's largely driven a lot of AI into kind of crunching. I mean, using the data to find a decision making spots. But we have again, after all the things, we have created a human in the loop option. So to your question, the AI can do certain things which are much better than a human can. It can handle a lot of data. It can figure out the pattern. It can provide the alerts which human may not spot. It can, we are using every day the cloud and in our day-to-day life as well. Analysis, documentation, and all the decision support today, I think, including me, anything I have to decide, I use some data to run it through a AI agent to, so that becomes like a given everywhere. But what you ask is the way should be a line between system and what should be the human decision. So then the judgment finally, and there is still is that is, and in my opinion, it will never ever go to that extent when the ethical judgment can be done by the AI, because ethical judgment is always finally has to be done with human, because there is a year ago I presented the AI in a very large conference. I think it was C Asia, and this was one of the key message in the end part of that my presentation was with ethical uh, question marks. So we can do everything, but there's a very famous saying by Elon Musk that the AI. If you ask a AI agent to build a road and where there is a colony of ants, it will just build a road on top of those colony of ants without having any regard to anything underneath, because that was a task given to it. But somebody may question the ethical part of it, but it just did the job that it was given. So the it works on the you're deep into technology yourself. So AI does nothing but works on the data, all these language models, and they are assigned certain algorithms and they arrive at a decision. But ethical part is not only data, it's a lot of other factors that are impossible to map. So I think the line, if you ask me, is that it should give you warn and it should assist you in decision making. But final decision has to, a human in the loop has to be there. It has to be a human responsibility to finally take that decision. For example, if you say, in any critical matter, when a decision has to be made, for example, a ship's voyage, it can give all the direction, everything, but whether, a real critical moment when, for example, approaching to pick up a pilot, so whether to, put the lee side, which is the lee side, how to arrange a pilot. These are the question. Such decisions need to be made by somebody who is human and who has a little more consideration than just the data. That's
We're
what is my
definitely
view.
going to see in a couple of years that AI will make the decisions much more better than a human. Because if you already look to the self-driven cars without human, for example,
Yeah.
in USA, it's already working, and it will come, of course, to other regions. I also heard that soon. It's I think it's already testing similar thing in the Netherlands. So and definitely it will come to every industry, and in one day, most of the decisions, I think, of course, not all of them, but most of the decisions where you can connect with the data, with the history, it's going to be taken by AI because if you have a history and you have a data, you know how to make it better, and AI, of course, going to make it better. But yeah, it's a tough topic, but in some cases, probably it's going to be mistakes because you always have to consider like what's going on. Maybe something else, not only related to specific operations, but as you mentioned during the pilotage, yeah, AI can of course check like wind, can check as well, can check everything, and also to monitor a situation around. But some small thing what can actually affect it can be done only by human. Yeah. Why does action matters?
Why does action matter? Okay, so why does action matter is because in the industry, maritime industry, um, you know uh, there is a severe most of the people are uh, reactive in action. Any action is taken is only in reaction to a situation. I think what in my mind, if you're asking me the question, action matter is many times we have to be proactive in action and not reactive. And this I have seen in my experience in with the industry, that there are very few companies which have, or people who have understood this value of the action, and when they do that, it gives them a leadership position. So to lead in any field, including maritime, is the action that matters. So I may say 100 things, I may talk about, but if I don't live that talk by a certain action, I think all that I do or say, it does not translate into value. So to really do what you're doing, or you think to make this worth value, you have to really mean it by taking an action. So that's what I think. If you mean is why does action matter, is that action is where all that you believe in, it comes to reality.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your thoughts, for your opinion. I'm sure that it's going to be resonate with a lot of people, and this a lot of people who is listening now. Don't hesitate. Just leave a comment down below and write also your opinion. Why does the action matter for you? We will read it, and definitely we're going to reply you. And of course, Bhupesh also going to take actions on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Glad. Such a pleasure talking to you always. And I really enjoyed all the discussions that we had.